Rain continues to hamper the search for flooding victims in the Hill Country. Good afternoon. I'm Clarice Tinsley. You're watching Texas Weather Live. Weather conditions are expected to improve, but for now, the rain is making it challenging. Fox 4's Alex Boyer in studio. And Alex, you've been following these developments.
I have, Clarice. I can tell you that as rescue teams continue to search for flood victims, a flash flood watch has been issued for the Texas Hill Country, making an already difficult task that much harder. More than 2 inches of rain fell this morning, with more falling throughout the day. The ground, as you might imagine, already saturated. Now, as of Tuesday morning, the death toll has reached 133. Kerr County was hit the hardest, with more than 100 bodies recovered so far. 97 people are still missing in that area, a drop from the 161 reported last week. Now, compounding the search and recovery efforts is an unsettled weather pattern. July is typically a dry month, but rain continues to soak the Texas Hill Country. Crews had to pause searches due to the weather on Sunday and Monday. Speaking at an event in Fort Worth today, Governor Greg Abbott said he is grateful to all of the volunteers and first responders who continue to search the area despite the tricky forecast.
Go back to Hurricane Harvey, what I think was the worst storm that we had before this. There have been far more people lose their life because of this flooding incident than those who lost their lives in Hurricane Harvey. It's just horrendous.
Governor Abbott specifically called out the Kerr County Sheriff, who he says has shown incredible strength and leadership during this difficult time. That statement met by applause from that group. Now, Governor Abbott will spend the rest of today in the Texas Hill Country getting updates on the search and recovery efforts. Weather conditions, thankfully, are expected to improve beginning tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, Alex, thank you. Right now, that flash flood watch is in effect for the Hill Country. Let's join meteorologist Ali Turiano. Ali, they really do need that break.
They do. Now, the flash flood watches that were here in North Texas and even parts of Central Texas, they let those go, but they continue this one at least until 9 o'clock this evening. And I think after that, they're going to let it expire because we will finally have some changes, at least enough changes in the weather pattern to really limit the coverage of rain and rain chances really across the state. So as with previous days, it's this funnel of moisture coming up through the Hill Country. Showers and thunderstorms have become more scattered. It was pretty isolated earlier today, but we do have very heavy downpours and some lightning strikes out of these storms from Kerrville to Fredericksburg up towards Mason, Brady, and this is continuing to generally move in a northeasterly direction, a little bit more closer to us in Hamilton and now just outside of Hyco, heading towards Stephenville. So this will be the trend, all of this energy lifting northward, going through the rest of the afternoon and this evening. After that, we do start to see those slight changes and things will dry out for a lot of us. So let's talk about the last few days and just how much rain has fallen. It's been more than one location. Obviously, this started 4th of July, but over the weekend, the last few days, we've had some significant numbers in and around Uvalde. Those shades of blue and blacks, we're talking 8 to 12, sometimes almost 1.5 feet of rain has fallen over the last couple of days in this portion of the Hill Country. And you head north, and it's just as bad in a lot of spots, from Llano to San Saba, outside of Lampasas. Over 1 foot of rain has fallen. So the areas that are now getting these scattered showers and storms already waterlogged, and everything is pretty much runoff at this point. And then even closer to home, northern parts of Hill and Bosque County this weekend, yesterday morning, rough in a lot of spots with within a 24 to 48 hour period. Some of these areas received 8 to 12 inches of rain. So obviously we would like a drier forecast, and finally Mother Nature is going to attempt to give us that a little bit more. Closer to home, we do have lower 90s pretty much across the board, those showers and rumbles. Notice where the coverage is. A lot of this, especially west of the I-35 corridor late this afternoon. I think that's where it's a little more scattered, and we expect it to be a bit more isolated as you head east. very uniform temperatures across the state, anywhere from upper 80s to mid 90s. And of course, that dreaded feels like temperature several degrees higher. We do have triple-digit heat indices around DFW, and that continues into the hill country as well. So even if it's not raining, it's tough for these folks searching and recovering because of just how intense the heat is and how it's going to be in the coming days. So it's a double-edged sword. No rain, but now the heat and humidity is really going to be an issue. So going through this evening, all of the last of this energy is moving northward. Overnight, I think it's quiet in the hill country, and we are expecting generally a quiet forecast again tomorrow, and then also into Thursday, which will for sure help efforts. But as mentioned, it's those temperatures. So highs today with the rain to the west near areas like Kerrville and Mason, highs only in the 80s. But you'll notice as we dry out, those highs quickly climb back into the 90s beginning tomorrow afternoon. And then again on Thursday, those are actual temperatures. And then when you factor in the moisture in the air, you can easily tack on 5 to 10 degrees, and that's your feels like. That's already uncomfortable. We tell folks all the time, don't be outside if you don't have to. Indoors, get in the AC, do what you can to stay cool. And it's just going to be a really long recovery effort over the next few days as these numbers keep climbing, and they're really only going to go up from here. Remember, we are in July, so we expect these numbers to keep climbing, and they for sure will, not just in the hill country, but also here in North Texas. Now, I will tell you, closer to home with the recent rain, most of our area lakes doing pretty good. We are near conservation. On average, we get about a 2.3 inches of rain at DFW. We are below that at DFW, so some areas have had significant rain, others not so much, but in the grand scheme of things, our lakes are looking pretty good for the time being. So bottom line, we do still have a lower rain chance a little bit longer here, really tonight, tomorrow, and then this weak high pressure is going to build in. That just means hotter conditions are on the way in the coming days. And then on top of that, we are going to be dealing with an area of low pressure in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, that's something else we deal with this time of year. The tropics could be getting active. Right now, that system is moving across the state of Florida and heading westward. So could that impact us? Could it impact parts of central and southern Texas and the hill country? That is yet to be seen, but we'll talk more about that forecast, what we see with that system. And we also still have a lot happening across the country. So more details on Texas Weather Live is coming up right after this. Welcome back to Texas Weather Live. We are briefly going to start in the great sunshine state of Florida. That doesn't look very sunny right now. Here we are mid-July. We've been watching an area of low pressure off the East Coast over the last couple of days. This is now spinning right across north central Florida, so just north of Orlando. It moved ashore near St. Augustine. Now, it's not technically a tropical named storm just yet, but it is an area low pressure that continues to spin, and there are rain bands that are impacting a good portion of the state, including parts of Georgia and the Carolinas too. So the Major League Baseball game tonight in Atlanta, yes, scattered showers and rumbles will be possible because of this tropical low. Now, it is expected to move back into the Gulf. The more south that center of circulation is, the better chances that this actually develops into a named storm. Dexter would be the next name on the list, but currently that center, it appears it's going to be pretty much hugging the Florida coastline and moving generally due west here over the next day or two. For now, still 40% chance of development, but regardless, this is a big time rainmaker for the state of Florida and eventually parts of Alabama and Louisiana for sure in the next couple of days. So here's just one model showing what we've got going on. All that moisture heading to the Louisiana coast. So by 7 o'clock Thursday morning, tons of rainfall moving in here. Not necessarily a named system, but gusty winds. There will likely be some severe thunderstorm potential. And then it just kind of hangs here. So there's no real steering currents to get this to move across the state of Texas. That's a good thing. So the rainfall is likely going to stay to the east, which is great news for us, but not so great for folks across parts of Louisiana. The rest of the Atlantic basin is quiet right now, and that's not a surprise. Typically, things start to get active as we go through August and the peak, which takes place September into early October. So back at home, it's hot, it's humid, we know that. Winds are out of the south, 10 to 15 with some higher gusts. Current temperatures generally in the low 90s area-wide. It's very uniform in terms of our temperatures. The issue, and if you've stepped outside, you know what the issue is. It's the amount of moisture in the air, with many of us dealing with triple-digit heat index, as high as 104 currently in Waxahachie, 103 for Bonham and Paris, 105 the current feels like in Greenville. And yeah, it's still around the Metroplex too. Everyone kind of just feeling it. I know it's been a while. Lately, we've had a lot of clouds and rain across the region that it's kind of dampened those temperatures, but keep in mind, now as we go through the next few weeks, we are at the peak climatologically of how hot it typically is here. So 96 is now the average high, and it'll soon be 97, and that'll be that peak that we sit at. So for the rest of the day today, hot, humid. We do have some showers and rumbles possible, but I think the better chances are west of the I-35 corridor. Tomorrow, I'm leaving it a 10% chance, especially north and west, but I expect a lot of us to be rain-free starting tomorrow, and that will continue. Our forecast Thursday, rain-free, and then Friday, Saturday, just because of the vicinity of where that area of low pressure in Louisiana will be, I've got a low shower chances in our far east and southeastern zones only Friday and Saturday. After that, Sunday will take them out. So without significant rain, our forecast will then be all about the heat, and it's going to get hotter, folks. All right, first let's talk about what's happening right now on radar. We've had a couple of little showers pop up in Parker County, and those are continuing to head north. Same goes for Jack, and then a few more into Palo Pinto, so just south of Highway 180. We've got a couple of showers here moving over Interstate 20 outside of Strawn, too. This is your run-of-the-mill showery precipitation there, not too intense. To the south, though, there are a few rumbles. Isolated lightning strikes possible with this activity. And as with the last few days, severe weather is not a concern for us. We don't expect damaging winds. We don't expect hail. It's all about just the torrential rain. And for many of us, enough is enough at this point, especially in parts of Bosque, Hamilton, and Hill County. We know it's been a rough couple of days for you folks, so this is just kind of adding to the problem. The more east you go, there's just not a whole lot happening for now. Still think we could see an isolated shower or rumble before the day is up east of the I-35 corridor. Just the better chances are with this moisture plume and all this energy moving up from the hill country. And yes, the hill country is still getting rain and thunderstorms, unfortunately, but that is what we're watching, a little conveyor belt here of energy moving through. We've also got some of these sea breeze showers in and around Houston, not too concerned with those getting here before sunset. So elsewhere across the country, it's just very active. The big severe weather today is in the northern tier with severe thunderstorm watch box for parts of Minnesota as well as Wisconsin. For us, it's your typical forecast now as we go through the rest of the week without much precipitation in it. Highs today, mid-90s eventually. That's where a lot of us will top out. Some models a little bit more excited with precipitation continuing tonight. I'd say after sunset, we're likely to see coverage really drop even for our western zones. Out the door tomorrow morning, mid-70s, low shower chance tomorrow, and I think the better opportunity for that will be off to the north and west, and high temperatures will likely be even a degree or so warmer. I think this computer model could be low, actually. Forecasting around 95, 96 for tomorrow afternoon with a feels like above 100. We're below heat advisory criteria, but it's been a few weeks that we've had some serious heat most days, so just please be aware that, especially if you have to work outdoors, it's not going to be great. We will notice temperatures in the morning start to climb a bit, and then those afternoons will really get going. I think by Thursday, those upper 90s are back in full swing, and they're likely going to be here for a while. Here's your forewarned 7-day forecast. Minimal shower chances in the coming days. I've got those upper 90s starting Thursday, continuing into next week, and I would not be surprised if a few spots could hit that 100-degree mark by next Tuesday. So yes, the heat is on in Texas, and for a good portion of the country, it's all about rough, wild weather. When we return on Texas Weather Live, we've got a look at some of the interesting and wild weather across the country.
Hey, I'm Fox Weather meteorologist Ian Oliver with your Rowie Outlook, Fox Weather's exclusive risk of weather impact for Major League Baseball's 95th Midsummer Classic tonight. It's the All-Star Game, the biggest game of the regular season for the MLB, but it's also mid-July in Georgia, which means it's a stare at the radar kind of day. Hot and humid. We've got daytime high temperatures up into the 90s. With that mugginess, scattered storms start to bubble on up. And with first pitch around 8 o'clock, there is a scattered coverage of showers and storms, some of which could pass directly over Truist Park. So we'll be watching for that. Temperatures by first pitch, those are in the mid-80s, dropping back into the lower 80s. But you do see throughout the game that Rowie in the medium category. Don't miss Aaron Judge and the American League All-Stars taking on Shohei Ohtani and the National League All-Stars. Coverage of the 2025 MLB All-Star Game from Truist Park. That begins tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, only on Fox.
Powerful thunderstorms prompted flash flooding in parts of central New Jersey, and that led to dozens of rescues. The storms are being blamed for at least 2 deaths. A look from Meadville, Mississippi, after a severe weather outbreak spun several tornadoes, one destroying a small church. The storms were also deadly, killing at least 2 people. Fox's Brandy Campbell is in Mississippi.
Since Saturday, multiple long-track tornadoes were seen between Texas, Louisiana, and here in Mississippi, and that severe weather threat continued marching across the East Coast. Right now, though, we are in Meadville, Mississippi, here at Zion Baptist Church, where it once stood. Right now, you can see I'm actually standing on top of a roof. You can see bricks scattered everywhere, even concrete cinder blocks, showing the strength of this tornado. We're still waiting on the damage assessments to be done from the National Weather Service. But this is a location where the church has still come together to pray, and afterwards still having service at a church member's home.
We're of one heart and of one soul.
I'm also told this is where 2 of the church members here survived the tornado.
He put us in the path of this storm for a purpose, a plan he has for us. And that plan for us is to give our testimony to people of God's goodness and his protection. Right. I don't want to sound like some fringe person, but that's the way it is. After all this, there's one bare spot in this church, about a 6-foot diameter, that has a clean floor. That's where she and I were laying.
And we met the pastor of Zion speaking on the church's future.
So even though the church building is gone, our hearts are heavy, but we're filled with enthusiasm about what God has in store as we rebuild and continue to minister here in the Berrytown community.
And unfortunately, this line of storms has been deadly. At least 1 death reported in Texas, in the Houston area, and a second death reported about 30 minutes away from us in Natchez, Mississippi. Now, despite the unfortunate news that comes out of the severe weather, we are hearing the initial steps of people moving forward. You can hear the machinery behind me, the chainsaws at work, but we're also seeing people coming together, helping their family and friends move forward during this time. For now in Meadville, Mississippi, I'm Brandy Campbell for Fox Weather.
A wildfire that leveled a historic lodge near the Grand Canyon is growing rapidly, and it's just one of several out-of-control wildfires burning out west. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has details.
Firefighters in Arizona are reporting little to no containment on a wildfire burning through the north rim of the Grand Canyon. On Monday, the fire destroyed a historic lodge and several other structures after being allowed by the National Park Service to burn for more than 2 days. Anxious tourists at the Grand Canyon say they're ready to evacuate if needed as the smoke gets thicker and the fire spreads.
It's just sad to see that it's happening and to see all this smoke.
Seeing the smoke, seeing the pictures that we've seen from last night, it's terrible.
I've been here 6 years ago and I don't remember it being like this, so it's pretty sad.
Arizona isn't the only western state dealing with wildfires. Colorado Governor Jared Polis issued a disaster declaration, freeing up resources to fight 4 out-of-control fires burning through his state. And in Utah, the Deer Creek fire near the Colorado border has now grown to more than 10,000 acres. Over the weekend, conditions were so bad it created a so-called fire vortex. You can see the flames twisting like a tornado. Hundreds of residents remain evacuated, and it's not clear when or if they'll be able to return.
It's kind of a surreal feeling when you're like walking around your house and you're like, you know, how do you prioritize? Like, what do you take?
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are now asking the Interior Department to investigate why the Park Service allowed the Arizona fire to continue as a controlled burn. In New York, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Glad you joined us for Texas Weather Live. Stay with us. Fox 4 News at 4 is next.
Fox 4 is here for you. Online now at fox4news.com and streaming free on Fox Local. Stay forewarned. Stay with Fox 4.